opinions stated in this podcast do not reflect the opinions of the Alestle or SIUE as a whole. Welcome back to another episode of Alestle After Hours. Sam Muren joining you here, and today we have a bit of a unique episode, I guess, so to speak. As you may notice, there's no one else in here. It's very sad and alone in our booth today, but it's because this episode is a little bit different than our normal show and kind of an introduction into the spring 2026 semester, which welcome back for, by the way. If you are just getting back into classes, you probably are a week late, so hopefully you've enjoyed the first 2 weeks of school and are getting back into the swing of things. I know it's been kind of crazy at the newspaper and for myself too, so I understand the back to semester craze. However, we have some really exciting announcements for the podcast, which again is why it's just me on air today. I'm going to give you some of the top stories, though, from the news, just in case you're curious and maybe you don't have a chance to pick up the paper or check it out online, which you should at alestlelive.com. But some of the top stories this week were in news. We have the Senate scoop, the union protest, which was a breaking news story about how some of the union members of AFSCME, Local 2887, of the Illinois Education Association unions were protesting outside the chancellor's office, so check that out if you get a chance to on our website or in print. And there's some other things there in news that are there for your reading, and I definitely recommend checking up on. We had a headphone jack in life, and Olivia's Corner, so read that. Our local expert of movies, Olivia Whitlock, our copy editor, as well as a new program at the Lovejoy Library, so check that out as well. For sports, which we'll talk a bit about sports here related to Alestletics as well as Alestle After Hours in a bit, but wrestling and table tennis made the feature in print, so you can pick that up, as well as some other sports stories online. Opinion. There was lots of opinions this week, so be sure to check those out, including opinions about politics and are they celebrities or are they not celebrities, really is what the opinion is about. We also had a matter of opinion about physical health, which is from one of our new photographers. I'll mention that in a moment, so check that out, as well as a staff ed on mindfulness, so something to be thinking about going into the semester. Finally, we also had a bit of an interesting thing for print is the Alestle Trust Project, mostly put on by our editor-in-chief, Dylan Hembrough. He oversaw kind of most of the project, and it was about responding to questions about the newspaper. And do you trust the Alestle? There's your opportunity to read up on the answers to those questions. So that is in print. I may be mistaken, but I think it is online as well. However, if not, you can definitely pick up a copy of the paper and check it out. All right, moving over a little bit to some of the interesting news at the Alestle. We have quite a few new people, and I know they're not really here in studio with me right now, but I'll give you some updates, including starting with myself. Not only will I be running the podcast here on our show, or shows, I should say, but also be taking on graphics manager roles, which means I'll kind of review the pages before they go to print and make graphics for each of the editors that need them. We have Gavin Rask, who you might know as Gavin 1. He hasn't been on the show or on air to this point, but he will be now at some point. I'm going to make sure he gets on just so we can pick his brain a little bit. He was a photographer for us, but he has now been promoted to multimedia editor, so he will be taking on those roles, and he has a lot of great ideas, so I hope you get to see them. You'll get to see a lot of his work via TikTok, was Sophie posts what he makes, or helps her make, I should say, and then you'll get to see some of his stuff on YouTube. He has some great plans for that as well. And there's some other great multimedia projects in the works. I don't want to spoil any surprises in case they aren't official yet, but be on the lookout for those. And who else is new? I don't know. There's a lot. I just kind of alluded to it earlier. We have 2 new additions to this point. Both are photographers. And so we will be excited to get to see their work, and so far we have a great start. Again, one of them wrote an opinion already, so that's pretty great activeness from both of our photographers. One, I believe, is literally just hired as I'm recording this, so we'll get to know her a little bit more, and it should be exciting. There's a lot to look forward to there, so be on the lookout for more pretty pictures in the paper or online. And then a little bit more just on going on changes, because this is really interesting to me, especially as we enter this semester. This is the final semester for like some of our main core. So, for example, our lifestyles editor, our news editor, and our opinion editor are probably not returning unless something drastically changes, which is kind of sad. So we'll have to wish them farewell. I'll have to make sure they get on the podcast for at least one more episode. And there's a lot more opportunities to do that, which I'll tell you about in a moment. But crazy that we won't be seeing them. It's like I've known these people my entire college career as the podcast editor. I've been here for a long time, and they're going to be gone. So we'll have to like mourn together for those of you that are fans of these three and potentially others depending on their situation. But I know these three for sure who have been a core part of the newspaper for the last 3 years for myself and pretty much for the community as well. Okay, that was a lot to talk about. And now we get to the big news about this show and our other podcast, Alestletics. We have a very exciting announcement. Given the change of my position, we now have the ability to record and produce an episode of Alestle After Hours and Alestletics. Both shows will now publish every single week on Saturday at 10 a.m. That's right, both shows every week, Saturday at 10 a.m. Very excited for this. It's something that I really wanted to do. It was something that I felt was right for both shows. They needed the justification to be published every week, especially as the Alestle's print schedule is all out of whack. Not of our control, of course. However, given that it's out of whack, we kind of need to find a supplement to give you content and stuff to listen to and make sure we're doing our jobs justifiably. And I think this is a great method too. Now, the thing is, though, just because it's publishing every week, you don't have to listen to us every week. I know that's a lot of Alestle staff to listen to from week to week. I think it's good that you get a break from us a little bit, but you won't get a break from me, unfortunately. Sorry to those that may be disappointed in that, because we're going to do some different style episodes. I'm thinking of changing our schedule up, and I might publish this in our social media post or whatever it may be so that you can kind of see and get an idea. But for certain episodes, when we publish in print or online, which is once every 3 weeks, you'll definitely hear the editors then. You'll get to hear their logic behind the stories that they write, the editors and how they oversaw their sections throughout the week, or photographers or whatever. That will not change. So if you are a loyalist to our editors and you enjoy hearing them, don't worry, they're not going anywhere. They will still be here once every 3 weeks at least. However, they won't be the only guests, or that the goal is that they will not be the only guests moving forward, because we also would like to reach out to SIUE clubs that are impactful on our campus here at SIUE and try to give them a spotlight or a chance to talk about what they do or something important that they've done in the past few weeks. And this doesn't have to be just a club. It could also be a community thing that's been going on. It could be a source from one of the stories that we have in past editions that maybe we give an update on the story. Not quite sure. It's very open of what could happen on those style of episodes. But that is one variant of Alestle After Hours you could see. We also have another variant, which I would call the professor or administrative feature, where the goal is to bring on a professor from any department, not one in particular, or an administrator from any department, not one in particular either, and let them kind of talk about what they do, if they're doing sabbatical research or if they are pushing for a certain type of administrative proposition for their department. This is a chance to pick their brain on those topics as well as get a better understanding. And again, they do stuff for our SIUE community, so I think it's important for the SIUE community to hear what they have to say. And this is kind of their outlet to do so and our outlet to provide to them and give you an opportunity to hear what they have to say. So that means, like, hey, we have a lot going on now. It's going to be a lot busier on the show, and we hope you're excited as I am, because I'm really excited to get new voices in our studio talking to you guys. For me to get the opportunity to talk to them is really awesome as well. And that should help us fill content for when the Alestle may not be publishing new news content, for example, but they will still be working to try to bring you info and experiences that are happening here on the SIUE campus. So that is Alestle After Hours. They will be publishing every week on Saturday at 10 a.m. Every week. Saturday, 10 a.m. Don't forget, But Alestle After Hours is, again, it was what I would typically call just a news background behind the scenes podcast, trying to make it into more of a SIUE community and newspaper podcast. So where we talk about general news, but is also feature things that are going here on SIUE's campus. But we also have a sports podcast, Alestletics, and that is co-hosted, I should say, by myself and Audrey Orenick, our sports editor. We have been talking, and we both agree that the Alestle, with their current publication schedule, it's just struggle to fully report on SIUE sports because sports happen every weekend and every day or every other day during the week. So it's hard to fully deliver the news updates about sports when we are only publishing once every 3 weeks. The podcast was on an awkward schedule, not the same schedule, I guess, as the publication of print or online editions, but it was also only publishing once every 3 weeks. That will change as well. They will now be publishing every Saturday. I will say some episodes will be shorter than normal. They won't all be our consistently having guests on, for example. They could be quick update episodes and into some in-depth episodes that, depending on who is available for interviewing and dependent on that, it really is up to interpretation. It could just be in-depth sports analysis for the weekend, and that's all we do. But we could also have guests on. We plan to work more with club sports, trying to involve them more as well. So there's a lot to look forward to that. Really, if you think about it in that terms, there's more in-depth sport reporting every single week by Audrey and myself, and we're very excited about that. So, I did a lot of talking. I did the most talking for, I think, anyone that's ever been on the show. They talked about all these stories and all this stuff. No, I'm kidding. So it's really exciting to be back for the spring 2026 semester. I know a lot of us at the Alestle are in the, I don't want to say older because that makes us feel old. We're in the later stages of our academic careers, and so it allows us to create different, unique content for you. I'm excited as the podcast producer to get this opportunity where I can produce more, because a podcast should be a regular episode. So hopefully we'll get to watch the podcast grow together with you as the listeners and me as the host and producer. That's the goal, and these more episodes should hopefully bring us to that goal. So I'm looking forward to talking more to you because, well, I'll be talking to you like twice a week now. So with that, I'll just leave it here and then spare you the talking until next weekend when you have to listen to me on 2 different episodes if you're watching both. But we'll close this short episode out here. And thank you again for tuning back in. Don't forget, you can find both podcasts on Spotify. They have their own unique Spotify names, Alestle After Hours or Alestletics. You can also find both podcasts on the Alestle's YouTube account. That will not change. That will remain the same. The only thing that is changing is, again, both episodes will release on Saturday at 10 a.m. every single week, barring any snow that doesn't allow me to leave my house and record it for you. And even then, maybe we'll try to do something fun where it's just me again. But probably not. Don't expect the just me episodes all the time. But hopefully, barring anything and a schedule change at all, the new schedules will be posted on probably Alestle After Hours' Instagram. You can follow Alestle After Hours on Instagram, which is mostly just kind of our podcast Instagram. Alestletics does have an X account. I may send an update on that. We'll see. But definitely, if you're looking for both podcast schedules, check out Alestle After Hours. That will be coming up soon, probably on this Saturday when everyone's expecting an episode. But now, you can expect an episode next week, so I don't have to guess anymore what week I'll see you. I will see you next week here on Alestle After Hours. But for now, that will be all, and we will see you again soon. Bye.